your hand if you cannot believe September went by that quickly. Me. Where did it go? Where did it go? Where is it? I don't know. Honestly, I'm excited for October though, so I'm not even like that mad about it, but it is just like crazy to me of like literally I blinked and it's gone. What happened? That's crazy. I don't know. Anyways, hey, what's up? Hello, my name is Millie and I like to read, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in the month of September. I read 15 books and had 1 DNF throughout this month, which is crazy because also like the last week of September I was sick and I literally didn't read like anything. So just like the fact that I read 15 books before that week, I was like, that's crazy, girl. Slow down. That's where September went, okay? Anyways, I actually had 8 5-star reads this month. However, 5 of them were rereads, and so that doesn't like really count because they were already 5-star reads. So that's kind of like why I was rereading them, because I love them so much. But technically I still had 3 5-star reads. One of them was nonfiction, but 2 just are, I think 2 were fantasy. So super excited about those. Absolutely loved them. They were so good. I also think part of it was just like, you know, like when you're just like right in the right mood for types of books. I think it was like one of those situations. Like I was super in the mood for that type of book. And you'll find out what they are very soon if you stick around. So let's go ahead and just jump right in into talking about the 15 books / 1 DNF that I had this month. Okay, starting off, I had A Deadly Education and The Last Graduate, both by Naomi Novik. These are the first 2 books in the Scholomance trilogy, and basically it's like a dark Hogwarts kind of deal. And so it's like all these kids that are put into this school of magic, but there's like monsters in the walls and different things like that, and so they're all dying and getting attacked. And so basically all these kids are just trying to survive the school until they can graduate. I'm gonna be so honest with you guys, I don't really know how to say our main character's name. It's like Galadriel. No, that's not how you say it. That's the only time I'm gonna say it. We're gonna call her Gal from now on. Okay, she is our main character that we're following, and she had this like prophecy foretold about her that she is just like evil and dark and like the downfall of everyone type of situation. And then we have this other guy, Orion Lake, and he is like the good guy. He's a superhero. He saves everyone. Everyone loves him, but she hates him because she's like, you're literally making me look like an idiot by saving me. Stop doing that. I hate you. Type of situation, kind of like reverse Grumpy Sunshine, what's happening. And yeah, these books, I think I ended up giving this one a 2.5. There was just a lot of random info dumping that I like. It was like, it would go on for pages of just like, okay, we were in the middle of a conversation and then all of a sudden plopped off random info dump. Which, like, cool, it got a lot better in the second book. I ended up getting this one a 3.5. I much prefer this one, and I am excited to finish the trilogy going into the next book. But honestly, I don't know that I would have continued the series had I not already owned this book, because this one was rough to get through, but it is really short, and it had really good, like, atmospheric vibes. But yeah, overall, 2.5, 3.5. That's what I have to say about them. But if you like the idea of like a dark Hogwarts, I would definitely say like check them out. Again, it was still like a really interesting plot line in my opinion. I just didn't love it. Okay, next up we did our reread of The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas, 5 stars. Are you kidding? Of course. That's all I'll say about this one. This one, it broke me. Again, okay? As if the first time wasn't enough. Anyways. Then we're gonna go straight into The Golden Goal by Anna Conwell. And this one I ended up giving a 3.75. This is a brother's best friend, rivals to lovers hockey romance. Oh my gosh, I cannot get those words out like my brain. Still not recovered. Okay. But basically when they were kids, they just like pranked each other and they would challenge each other like literally all the time. So intense, like, and into high school, and so where they were like ruining each other's dates, anything like that. They have since like tried to like put their rival ways behind them, but now she's becoming the physical therapist for his hockey team, and they're just finding that it's a lot harder when they're like actually around each other all the time to just not fall back into old patterns of how they used to treat each other. But then all of a sudden they're like, hey, wait, am I teasing or am I flirting? Hard to tell. That's a hard line to walk sometimes. Anyways, this one was like really cute, really sweet, and I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for a cute hockey romance. The next up, I read All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. This one I gave a 3.75. This is a YA fantasy, and it is like a dark Hunger Games essentially. This one it was super atmospheric and I really loved that. It was just, the pacing was like a little weird and I didn't get a lot of closure in the ending, and I am really excited to go into the next book. I do just think that, like, I don't know, it could have been a little better throughout this book. It is also like every character kind of feels the same in the sense that, like, oh, we're all the villains, but we're all not, type of thing. Like, we're all, I don't really even know how to explain it. And I also think that there was just such a good opportunity for, like, different things to happen in this book, like portrayals or whatever, and it felt a little flat for me. But I did still really enjoy it. I think it was a good, like, idea. Definitely very reminiscent of, like, a dark Hunger Games, essentially, like if it was like career tributes. Basically what's happening in this book is that there are like 7 families of like higher status, and so every generation the blood moon rises and each of those families have to choose a champion, which is kind of like a tribute essentially, to send into the arena where there's going to be a fight to death, and the family that wins it gets the like exclusive control over the like magic system, or like the spring of magic essentially, so they'll have like the highest level of magic until then the next champions go at it and stuff like that. And so that's what's happening in this book. But then this year there was like a secret tell-all book that tells like all the secrets of the families and like how they're surviving, what their like tactics tend to be and stuff like that. And so that just adds like a whole new level of things. But yeah, like I said before, it was good. I'm waiting for it to be great. Okay, I am really excited to get into the next book, but this one just felt a little flat for me. So that's how I'm feeling. Next up then I had Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and this is a YA mystery thriller. We are following Stevie Bell and her group of friends as she goes to this Ellingham Academy, which is a famous private school in Vermont. And basically when the school was founded, the founder of the school's wife and daughter like went missing and were died, and the only thing that was left behind were that it was like this person named Truly Devious that had done it. And so now Stevie's at the school for only like the brightest students, and she decides to go after Truly Devious and tries to find him, but then he suddenly starts making a reappearance, and they're like, hey, wait, this is like kind of good for us, kind of bad, because like kind of people who are getting murdered, but then like, hey, we could solve the case type of situation. So this book was very atmospheric, but I don't even know how to explain it, but there was just like something that was like missing, and I just wasn't a big fan, to be completely honest. But again, very atmospheric. I am still debating whether or not I'm gonna go into the next book. If you have read the next book, please let me know if I should. But yeah, like, because again, I really liked the atmosphere of it, but I think there was just like inconsistencies with the characters that didn't have to do with like character growth and stuff like that. As far as like for like Stevie, for example, like she was supposed to be like this really bright, really like paid attention. I'm thinking like Sean from Psych type of character, and that just like doesn't stick throughout the whole series. And I also just think it would have been a lot better without the love interest, in my opinion. So that is this book. Then next up I read Messenger by Lois Lowry. I don't have the physical copy of this book. This one was really good. I like how we can like slowly start to see how all the characters are connecting. This one definitely brought it a lot more together, and so I really like that. I really just like her writing. It's like easy to understand, but also like good. I do think for this one I didn't rate it. Like, I think I really need to read the last book to see what I think about this book, because it's one of those things of like, I feel like she's tying everything together in a way that like in the last book's gonna be like mind-blowing, but for right now it just kind of feels like lacking and slow. And so I don't know if that's what's gonna happen, but I did decide to wait to write this book until I read the last book. So that's that. And then next up I picked up The Hobbit by Tolkien. This one was our first 5-star outside of the Assassin's Blade of the month. This one was so good, and I remember like telling my brother, because he's been like trying to get me to read these books, And I was like I knew it was good, but I thought it was like good in the way that classics are good, that's like, you know, the writing is good, but you also don't really fully understand what they're saying type of vibes. Whereas this one, it was like so good, and it felt like reading like not a modern day fantasy, but it was just like reading a regular fantasy, and I really loved it. It was, again, very, very atmospheric. I think that's something that I'm coming to realize, is just that I love atmospheric writing, and I had a lot of those books this month, so that's pretty good. But yeah, it was just so good, such a good adventure. It was funny because I was looking up the reading order for the Lord of the Rings series, because I do want to read it, and it said that you should read Lord of the Rings, like, or I think, is it called The Fellowship of the Rings, the first book? You should read The Fellowship of the Rings, then go back and read The Hobbit, then go back and read The Fellowship of the Rings again. And I was like, yeah, no offense, I'm not doing that. So I just started with The Hobbit because this is a prequel, and I cannot wait to get into the rest of the series. So that was good. Absolutely loved it. Cannot recommend enough. I don't even feel like I need to explain what's happening in this book because it's so popular. Also, I literally am so obsessed with this cover. I love it. Then next up, I picked up Baby Llama Drama by Kate Watson. This is the second book in the Sugar Maple Fields series. The first book was Strawberry Fields Forever, and that one I think I gave like a 3.25 star. I still really enjoyed it, but it wasn't like mind-blowing great, anything like that. I think I give this one a 4-star, 3.75 or 4-star. But this one is a single dad football player, ex-child therapist. It's also small town romance, so absolutely love to see it. Basically, in this book, you are following Millie, and she is our child therapist. She just moved to this town, and she has a lot. There's definitely like trigger warnings. Okay. She has like an attachment to this little girl, and this little girl's name is Lottie, and her dad is Duke. And Duke and Lottie have been through some very traumatic things, and as a result, Lottie has some big emotions that she doesn't always know what to do with. And when she met Millie, she just like really attached herself to her, and she absolutely loves her and stuff like that. And so they have a little run-in at the diner, and Duke's like, oh my gosh, you're Millie, you're the one that she literally doesn't shut up about, nice to meet you, type of thing. And it's just like really good, and it does definitely deal with like a lot heavier topics than I think the first book in the series did. And I, again, would just definitely check trigger warnings like cancer, infertility, death of a child, all those things. And so yeah, but this one, it was really, really good, and I would definitely recommend it. Then next up, I had my next 5-star read, and that is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I also do not have my physical copy of this one, but I will definitely be getting one because I loved it. It was so good. Again, just the perfect atmospheric writing. I can't say enough. I love atmospheric writing. It was so good. It was so good. I loved it. Her writing, like, I know people criticize that it was like The Night Circus felt pretty like slow, that there wasn't a lot happening in the plot. I think like there was a lot happening in the plot, but it was slow. And I didn't mind the fact that it was slow because, again, I loved the atmosphere, and I loved everything that was happening, and I loved all our characters, and everything, like exactly what I wanted to happen happened. In this one, it's like if The Greatest Showman met Caraval, and I love The Greatest Showman, and I love Caraval, and it was fantastic, and it was amazing, and it was great, and it had great writing, and I, again, cannot recommend it enough. It was so good. So good. Go read it. You are following, like, the story takes place over the span of, like, years, like, a really, like, a long time. So, like, I don't know, it's hard because, like, there's layers. So the story of, like, I don't even know how to explain it, but basically there's obviously the circus, and it only appears at night, and you never know where it's gonna reappear or appear, so you gotta go, like, while you have the chance. People are obsessed with it. It's so good. They're kind of, like, walking in the line of, like, oh, is it magic or is it an illusion type of situation. While that is going on, you also have these two main characters who are in this, like, challenge with one another. And that's kind of like what the core of the story is that we are following these two characters as they are training for this challenge, but they don't know what the challenge is, and they don't exactly know the rules of the challenge, and so they're just trying to, like, figure it all out. How does the challenge even end? And so it was really good. I loved, again, all the layers that the story have, and just like everything that happens in it. Again, all the characters, and just like how it left off, like it felt very like fitting and just like what needed to happen, and also satisfying, and so I loved it. Next up, I read A Torch Against the Night, which is the second book in the Ember and the Ashes series. I absolutely love the series. Again, it was a reread for me. Gave it a 5 stars, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I have talked about these books like literally every single video on my channel for like the past like 2 months, so you are probably so tired if you have watched any of my videos, so I'm not going to talk about it again, but just know that I loved it. It's fantastic, and if you haven't read the series, you definitely should. Then next up, I did my reread of Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This was my first Emily Henry book, and I loved it the first time, and I loved it even more the second time. It is just so good. I love her writing. I also just like love the characters, and I feel like this is the one where I kind of relate the most to like the situation and the characters and stuff like that, and so I absolutely love this one. I think Happy Place is still my number 1, but honestly I think this is my number 2. I love all her other books, but I think this is just the one that, like, again, it always has like a special place in my heart because it is the first book that I read, but also I feel like I do relate to the characters more so in this one than I did in a lot of the other ones. So love this one. Love Charlie, love Nora, love the small town setting, love the punny humor in this one. That is like my favorite thing. Like, that is so me. I love a good pun. It's so good. But anyways, I just love these characters. I love this world. I think this is her most underrated book in my opinion. I love it. Thanks so much. And next up, we have the book that I DNF'd, and that was The Shack. I don't even know who this is by. It's a Christian fiction book, and I can totally see like why so many people love this book. Like, that's why I picked it up in the first place, is because I've heard just like how life-changing it was for so many people, especially like as they journeyed through like grief and asking questions like, where is God in my grief and stuff like that. And so I can definitely understand like how it is so helpful for people who are going through that and stuff like that. The book just wasn't for me. I just didn't really like it and couldn't get into it and decided to DNF it, and that is that. But then next up I have Everybody Always by Bob Goff. I love Bob Goff. It's kind of like companion, they're non-fiction books, but the first book that's kind of like a companion to this one is Love Does, and that is like my favorite book of all time. Love it. This one is also amazing, fantastic. Basically, he's just like taking stories from his life, like short stories. Like, the chapters are really quick in this book, and turning them into like simple truths, like that are simple again, but like sometimes hard, and we don't exactly always know how to live them out. And he gives you real tangible examples of like, hey, this is how it looks lived out. And yeah, it's really hard, and yeah, it really sucks sometimes, but that's what it looks like, and that's just like what happens as you're becoming more like Jesus and stuff like that. So I, again, absolutely love this book. I love Bob Goff. Will read anything that he writes, and I gave it a 5 star. Thank you so much. Then next up, I had my reread of Better Than the Movies. I am so excited. I literally cannot wait for Nothing Like the Movies. Like, I am like scared. I am so scared for that book because what do you mean they've been broken up for 2 years? What do you mean? What do you mean by that? No, I don't accept that. Literally, no. Wes would never. I'm so scared to see what happens. Yikes. Anyways, but this one is just so good. Again, it was a 5 star the first time. It's a 5 star the second time. I'm so obsessed with them. Wes is like the epitome of like literally the best book boyfriend ever. Thank you so much. That's all I have to say about this book. Again, I feel like a lot of these books are just really popular that I don't even need to tell you what they're about. So that's one of them. And then lastly, for this month, I finished my reread of A Reaper at the Gates by Salvatore. Again, the third book in the Ember and the Ashes series. And it was funny, like, while reading this series, because again, I've read it before, but there's just like, I haven't read it since I was in high school, and so there were just like certain things that I forgot, and there was like literally a moment that my jaw dropped. Like, I was like, ah. And then again, there's moments where I was like tearing up and like crying, and I was like, no. And it's so good. It's so good, and I love it, and I just like everything that she does is so good, and I can't wait. Even though I already know what happens, I still can't wait to get to the next book because I just want more time with these characters, and I'm so excited for her next book, Air, which literally came out today, but I pre-ordered it from the UK, so it won't be in my hands for like who knows how long. It did already ship, but again, it's coming from the UK, so sometimes it takes a little bit longer, so I don't know when it's gonna get here. I'm so ready for it though. I love her. I love this series. It's so good. It's so good. Anyways, that's it. That's all you're getting from me today. I love you. Jesus loves you. Have a great day, week, life, whatever it is. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Happy October again. Let's go.